Good evening, grave robbers, and welcome back to the television graveyard. We are your TV necromancers, Laura Prince and Noah Houlihan. We have come here tonight to examine the spirits of past television shows, to find out which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should just stay doomed. This is a podcast in which we'll analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that lasted only one season or only one episode. With me, as always, is TV's Noah Houlihan.
Cosmorific!
Today we are doing Battletoads.
Battletoads, yes, based on the popular NES game. This is the animated pilot for Battletoads.
This aired only once, but it did air.
Yes.
I wanted to say that because sometimes I feel like with the pilots, they did not always air.
True.
I find this super interesting because I did not realize that Battletoads was a product of the 90s in general. I just sort of assumed it was an 80s game.
Right.
Because you know how it is. If you don't remember it coming out.
Well, I mean, Battletoads didn't have, the impact outside of games that, the Ninja Turtles did. And this is, right in peak, Ninja Turtles are the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
So, all of the clones are coming out. So we had, the biker mice from Mars, and the street sharks, and all these, we're taking an animal, making them semi-human, giving them some sort of trait like karate or bikers. And give us money for toys, please.
Yeah, I thought it was so interesting that it was from the 90s, because I would have just presumed
that it was 80s. Yeah.
So, this airs in 1992.
Right.
So also the turnaround is quick.
Oh, you mean that this is cheaply made and made quickly? Because I would have guessed that.
Yes, but I really was surprised that, because I always do feel like these kinds of things take forever to, strike when the iron is hot. Mm-hmm. But in the 90s, I do feel like things moved much faster.
Right.
I was looking at something, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers starts in 1993, because I was looking up the other, its peers, in a way, of, teenagers with attitude. The movie came out in 95. That's quick. That's a 2-year turnaround from phenomenon to full-on studio film.
Yes, completed studio film.
So, I thought this did get a VHS release.
Right.
And now it's just, it's on YouTube.
Yes, you can watch the full thing on YouTube. So let's jump into Battletoads. We start with one of the strangest themes for this type of product I could have imagined.
Here we come with our battle cry. Battletoads, Battletoads. We got a eagle man and a T-bird in the sky. Battletoads, across the universe, now we're green and we're totally fine.
It's unexpectedly Beach Boysy.
Yes, there was part of me that thought it was kind of 50s, that 50s doo-wop, sock hop music, but it is very Beach Boys. And one of the biggest problems that invokes the Beach Boys is the name of the ship is the T-Bird.
Yes.
So they keep singing T-Bird because they'll have fun until the daddy takes the T-Bird away.
They'll have fun until Professor takes the T-Bird away.
Yeah.
From Angelica.
So there's this weird 50s music for Battletoads, which is very much black leather studded bracelets type look. It clearly should be thrasher music.
Yeah, especially when your leads have names like Rash.
Yeah.
And Zitz.
Yeah, and Pimple.
It's that and Zitz with a Z.
Yes.
At the end of it. Mm-hmm. I realized, of course, Zitz starts with a Z, but also at the end of the letter. So it's that very extreme
Yeah.
90s.
But, like, the way that it's being presented, it should be rock music. It should be metal music. It is surfer music.
Absolutely.
Which is so unfitting to this.
It fits the setting, because the setting is very SoCal.
Yeah.
But the actual, like, character design is not.
Yes. Also, I wanted to point this out, like, very early in the episode, someone goes, "No, no!" And it sounds just like Saturday Morning Watchmen.
The Dark Queen has found us again!
Oh no, Adrian! Looks like the Reds are polluting the city lake! What do we do?
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh no, Vite, what are we gonna do?" I was like, "Oh, I know that clip." So it's very much a Saturday morning cartoon that we're watching.
It absolutely is. It is very much that, for want of a better term, that 80s, 90s cheap.
Yeah. Like, I wanted cereal the moment that this started.
Like, the type that by the early 90s was dying out because they were starting to become illegal.
Yes.
Like the G.I. Joe, like the cartoons that just existed to sell toys.
That are a commercial.
Which did start to become illegal. Mm-hmm. And, like, you had to have something else behind it. That's where these more plot-driven Ninja Turtles, Biker Mice from Mars, and their peers were sort of implied to be more plot-driven and action-driven.
Right.
And it just so happened you could buy all the toys.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Because there's demand from the children. So, we get into this show, and it is the 3 biggest losers being yelled at by the principal.
Well, we start out with introducing the supernatural element before we even meet the kids.
We do. I'm sorry.
We meet the Dark Queen, and she wants the galactic amulet, which is being worn around the neck of Princess Angelica. Mm-hmm. And Princess Angelica is friendless and on the run, and her only peer is Professor T-Bird, who is, like, kind of dismissed as, like, a crackpot.
Yes.
And that's their whole story, is, like, Dark Queen wants the amulet, T-Bird is helping her, is helping Princess Angelica keep the amulet away from the Dark Queen, because it has powers of some kind.
Yeah. For reasons.
Yeah. Now we meet Morgan, Dave, and George.
Yes. Okay. So, Morgan Ziegler is the nerd of the group.
Yeah.
He looks like Arnold from the Magic School Bus.
Yes.
Yes.
He really do.
He sounded to me like Robert Paulson.
He is not.
He's not? Okay.
No, I did look at the voice cast. It's not...
It's not anyone we know?
A lot of them seem to have done more anime.
Oh, okay. Then who's the bigger guy?
The bigger guy, I believe, is George.
George. He reminded me of Mikey from Recess.
Yeah.
And then we have our third character, who has, like, purple hair and, like, weird glasses. He looks like, I didn't look this up, so I'm relying solely on my memory. He looked like Z-Ray from the Burger King's Kids Club.
Okay.
I'm unlocking memories in Laura's mind right now. Remember Z-Ray? I think it's Z-Ray.
I don't think it's Z-Ray. Do you mean, like... Okay, what are their names here? I've got IQ.
Not IQ.
Kidvid.
Kidvid!
Yeah, oh wow. I was part of the Burger King Kids Club, and this is just like, oh my god, they had a wheelchair-using child named Wheels.
Yep, I remember Wheels. But Kid Vid, it like looks like the character, or at least invokes the character from Battletoads.
I see it. It's a similar hair type.
Yeah. Like, I'm a cool guy type feel.
Yeah, the voice actor for him has done a lot of cartoons. He doesn't have, like, one iconic role that I could pull.
Okay.
but he's been in a lot of things. He was Mega Man in the Mega Man cartoon.
Okay, in the Mega Man cartoon.
Yes.
Okay, not the Captain N cartoon.
No, he was Dr. Wily in the Captain N cartoon.
In Captain N, Mega Man sounds like a chain smoker.
No, that was not him.
Come on, Captain N! I can't even do it. I did my best, though. In any case, getting back to Battletoads. They are apparently the 3 biggest losers in junior high.
This was a thing I found very confusing.
Yeah.
Because it was the full name of the school was said in a way that it could have been a full name junior high school, or that it was a junior high school, or as we would now mostly call it, a middle school.
A middle school.
Morgan Ziegler, Dave Shar, George Pye. You 3 are the biggest losers in the history of Waldo P. Oxnard Junior High.
So yeah, it's unsure if these characters are like 6th graders or high school seniors.
Yeah, like I can't tell if they're supposed to be 13 or 17.
Yeah, they could be any of those things.
And nothing in how they're depicted makes that very clear.
No. They are banned from hanging out with one another because they're losers. The principal's like, you guys can't be around each other. And they're like, but these are my only friends. So yeah, they're not allowed to hang out with one another. That's like their punishment, but they're hanging out anyway because, I don't know, they're rebels.
I mean, it also feels like a massive overstep because we don't see them, like, do enough.
Yeah, there's no reason to, like, really punish anyone. And they all kind of, like, try to go be friends with other people.
Yeah, Dave makes art, but it's just a horned vomiting skull that would fit in with a lot of high school kids of the time. So he tries to hang out with the art kids because he's trying to make, like, signs for the pep rally.
Yes.
Morgan's like, I could be good at organizing, I could be a good leader, and just fries a computer.
Yes, Morton Ziegler goes, who reminds me of the nerd from The Nerd, which we also covered. But Morton Ziegler goes to the computer club and goes,
Aw, come on, let me help. I'm good at organizing.
What did you ever organize, Morgan Ziegler?
Well, nothing, now that you mention it. But I could be a great leader. I mean, if I knew how, that is.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
I knew it was going to happen when you kept saying his last name was Ziegler. I'm like, oh god, we're doing it. So, and then I don't actually have what George is doing because it's not important.
It's not important. No, I was too busy writing the Dolph Ziggler joke.
I was too busy probably taking notes. And then we go away to Angelica and T-Bird in a cave, and she's just whining that it sucks.
Yeah, well, they're trying to get away from the Dark Queen, and they can't find anywhere to go.
So they're looking for the genetic essence of the Battletoads, who were the warriors that protected her family.
Yes.
And they died out ages ago. You know, real good protectors. They are extinct.
Yeah.
Because they're dead.
Because they're dead.
Just what I'm looking for in a protector. Dead.
So, Dr. T-Bird is like, well, why don't we go to this planet that is backwards?
It's backwoods.
Oh, is it? Oh, backwoods. Okay.
Yeah, like it's a
That's
little...
not better. Backwoods and insignificant.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very common joke, is that Earth is meaningless.
Yeah.
Like, that's why Earth never has any alien activity, is like nobody gives a crap about us.
I mean, this is Hitchhiker's Guide, mostly harmless.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that joke plays if you're 11.
I mean, it might be really cool and brand new for you at 11.
Right, but like, I don't know if at 11 you have a cynical view of the planet that joke is funny, or if it doesn't just come off like, hey, I'm from Earth. Screw you, show.
I mean, I was a weird little 11-year-old. I would have thought that was great. At 11, I think I would have thought it was neat. That being said, I'm not even sure you'd be 11 watching this show.
True.
So, we go to Oxnard, California, and we also meet the Dark Queen's henchmen.
Yes. who's like a BDSM pig, a
Psycho
rat,
pig.
and these are all from
Yeah.
the game. Like, when you're playing Battletoads, you fight a BDSM pig and a rat, and I forget what the other like weird thing is. But I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to bring up what the animation looks like. Mm-hmm. This is a mix of Archie and Friends, Tex Avery, and heavy metal. Like, that's what this looks like. It's like that simple American Girl kind of looking like Archie and Friends, where everyone's kind of like simply drawn. But then there's like these weird kind of gross out exaggeration animations. And then it all has that kind of heavy metal haze over it.
I mean, to be entirely honest with you, it looks like a Deke cartoon from the early 90s, which is exactly what it is.
True.
But, like, for a lot of our listenership, I feel like if you just said it's a Deke cartoon from the early 90s, they'd be like, say no more.
True, but like when I think Deke cartoon, the first cartoon that pops into my head is Captain Planet.
Was Captain Planet Deke?
I think. And
For
this
me,
looks
it's-
so much worse than Captain Planet.
For me, it's Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, but even there, like,
This looks like Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget at least had, like, interesting explosions and stuff. Like, this, like, there's, like, a bare bones to it. With the occasional, like, weird extreme animation. And that, like, heavy metal, like, weird, like that drab color where everything's kind of beige.
Everything's a little washed out.
Yeah.
Which, to be entirely fair, looking through a list of Deke programs, affects a lot of those programs, that, like, washed out color palette.
Yeah.
Because I always think of, like, even, like, Super Mario Brothers Super Show seems washed out to me.
Yeah, yeah. They're like it's being shot through something white.
Yeah. So, I was like, oh, Deke cartoons. So,
Laura fell down a rabbit hole.
I did.
She's back. Maybe.
so the three guys are now in a convenience store playing an arcade machine.
Yeah.
Which, my friends who are younger than me, who may be listening to this, sometimes arcade machines were just in random places.
Yes.
In the late 80s, early 90s.
Before the big arcade crash, you would have an arcade machine just around. I mean, like, I think it's a plot point in Bill and Ted is getting the high score in, like...
The one at the Circle K?
The one at the Circle K. And, like, Back to the Future 2, where he plays Wild Gunman. And, you use your hands? That's like a baby's toy. Yeah, there was a time where, like, you would find video games at, like, funeral parlors.
Like, very, very commonly in restaurants. Mm-hmm. Especially if it was a restaurant that might have a wait.
Yes, yeah, like an old school Pizza Hut. You could sit down and play, like, Daytona USA.
I mean, I believe there were diners in New Jersey that had them straight through the 2010s.
Yeah.
I think it was ultimately COVID that got rid of the last ones.
The last few. But yeah, it was just common for that. So they're all around this, like, video game. And there's kind of like this last Starfighter moment.
Yeah.
Where the video game opens up and the princess and T-Bird kind of come out. And let me tell you how much I love this scene.
Okay.
We get this, like, backstory of, like, we sense that you are the chosen three to become the Battletoads, to make sure that the galaxy is safe and to keep Princess Angelica safe from all the threats of the universe. During this scene, when the kids are talking, they cut to the princess and T-Bird, And when Princess and T-Bird are talking, they cut to reactions of the kids because they clearly don't want to do mouth animations.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where there's a moment where all of them are on screen and they talk for a moment and it cuts to the clerk who works there.
Who's rolling
reading
his
the
eyes.
paper and yawning. I was like, oh, they are saving money here.
Yeah, the arcade clerk is celebrating Zero Bothers Friday early this week, is my note here.
No bothers were given.
So then T-Bird just throws toxic goo on them?
Yes.
Without consent? Well, with barely not informed consent.
No, just like, all right, let's do this, and turns them into the Battletoads. And they're like, what did you do to us? But there's no time to talk, because here comes BDSM Pig. And
the Dark Queen
others.
and some of the piggy dudes come out through the Slurpee machine.
Yes!
Because in the early 90s, we didn't think about things like, why?
No.
We just thought, that'll work as a sight gag.
Yes. So then, this insane fight scene takes place. And I'm going to play a clip. And usually, I don't play clips of action sequences because it's just the Battletoads and these enemies whacking each other in cartoon hijinks.
Yes.
But I want you to listen very carefully because this like surfer music starts playing over it because for some reason it's surfer music instead of like heavy metal like I mentioned. And then it switches to Hava Nagila.
Wow! Superhero City, we got serious brain bashing powers. I'm a Seku-running, skull-scratching Super Toad, man!
Nice hands, Dave.
Life is one big basketball game!
It does. We had to rewatch it.
Yeah, I was blown away. I was like, I paused it and looked at Laura and went, that's Hava Nagila. And she went, no, it isn't. And we went back. I was like, listen. And there's like sound effects over it because there's action happening. But it's 100% Hava Nagila in the Battletoads cartoon. Like, I'm sure it's public domain, I guess. So they were just like, throw it over. It has kind of a surfery vibe.
Yeah, they clearly thought no one's gonna know.
They didn't realize that Stay Doomed would take a look at this
30 years
30
later.
years later and point this out.
It's ultimately like that audio. They're gonna know. They're not gonna know. They're gonna know.
Gonna know.
Oh, the Dark Queen, like, catches the princess. And I look at Noah and I go, does the relationship between Princess Angelica and the Dark Queen feel a little sexually coded to you?
Oh, it's very sexually coded. I mean, they are both drawn way too attractively. I mean, that's always been the issue in the game as well, is that she is voluptuous for an NES game.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, the way they interact with each other, that very, like, I have you now, my pretty,
Yeah.
is usually male villains going after the princess. Like, that's usually... And I could go on this whole thing about the coding of queer coding of villains, and how that's kind of treaded and retreaded again by a lot of scholars.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
There were two girls I knew in college that always wanted to wrestle each other.
Oh, okay.
Like, they were just like, let's wrestle. And they were constantly wrestling. And now they're married. But at the time, they didn't know how to express their feelings. They were just like, let's wrestle. And I get a same vibe here where it's like, I've got you. I'm grabbing you and holding you close so you can't get away. I got you.
Yeah, like, it's very, and it's obviously more the Dark Queen is the aggressor, which again goes back to that queer coding of villains that was incredibly common in this time period.
Yes.
You would have effeminate male villains or more aggressive female villains, and they would also be more sexually suggestive toward the pure adhering to gender roles hero or heroine.
Right.
So I got that vibe, which is clearly more thought than was put into anything else in this cartoon. Mm-hmm. They throw a freezer. It hits Angelica, who emerges from the door licking a popsicle.
Yeah.
In a very,
Yeah. It's a lot. They successfully chase off the baddies.
Yes.
And there's a whole bit of, with being a Battletoad, when you throw a punch, your fist gets really big. Or when you throw a kick, you get, a big boot. That is all from the game.
Yes.
So, they do a good job of incorporating that. They are renamed Zit, Rash, and Pimple.
Yep.
Pimple, who was not playable in the game. And
the frog, they find out that they are allowed to change back anytime they want.
yes, they chant, "Let's get normal,"
Yeah.
and they turn back into humans.
Yeah.
And "Let's get
Warty.
warty,"
Which is not what I heard the first time. I legitimately, for a moment, thought they said, "Let's get horny."
Let's get horny!
Because
horny
horned
toads.
Yes. Which,
Let's get horny.
and there was a moment where I was like, oh no. Because I was like, oh, I guess this is why this only aired once.
Or horny toads.
So they take Angelica and T-Bird, who, by the way, T-Bird looks like Ludwig von Drake from Disney, but
Yes.
dad. And they take them to their favorite teacher's house,
Okay.
who we also did not establish as much of a character.
No, this is, I believe, his only scene.
Yeah.
So I have a few problems with this sequence that takes place. They go to this teacher and they're like, "You're my favorite teacher. We've become the Battletoads. We need help to protect the universe and protect Princess Angelica." And the teacher's like, "Meh, I don't know if I buy this." And they're like, "Really? Let's get horny." And they turn into the Toads. And he's like, "Whoa, you guys aren't lying. There is a Professor Chicken with them
Yeah.
that he does not address at all."
No. Like, oh, my 3 favorite students and their Professor Chicken. So normal.
Yeah. Oh, now that you've turned it to Toad, something is weird. And the whole time, they're using words like, and I wrote them down,
Psychotronic!
Incredible.
Cosmorific!
Yeah, they are desperately trying to coin a catchphrase.
a catchphrase, right. When the Ninja Turtles were out, they would say, "Cowabunga."
Yes.
The thing is, I'm 99% sure Cowabunga was a word already.
It was.
It's not like they were like, "Let's come up with this phrase. Let's start with a farm animal."
Yeah.
Cow. Okay, now something that sounds like a butthole. Bunga? All right, we're in. They are just making up words throughout all of this.
Yeah, they're very, very obviously just trying to make a catchphrase somehow.
And because whenever they're insulting someone, they're like, "Nice going, Toad," which is not a thing people say. And it felt so much like
Your part is silent, little toad.
Yeah. This felt so Hello Fellow Kids.
You're
being
welcome,
talked down to.
3 Phantom of the Opera fans who listen to this.
But I'm saying it sounds like no one talks this way, but it's how people making these cartoons think 90 kids talk.
Yes.
Which is just wrong, so everything just feels disingenuous.
Agreed. It is very much what someone's dad thinks he overheard the kid saying. It is really butchered slang.
Yeah.
And then they find a pink convertible that doesn't work super well.
Yeah.
I found the pink convertible really interesting.
Go on.
Is the convertible pink in the video game?
I don't think there's a convertible.
Okay. Why would you make something that would clearly be intended to be sold as a toy?
Pink.
That already looks like a very famous existing car that you could probably steal from your sister. It's Barbie's car.
It's Barbie's car. Or Elvis's.
Barbie's car, realistically, in toy stores in the 90s. But to me, that really just screams they didn't think this through all the way, because I would at least make the car a different color. Like, there's the turtle van.
Yeah.
There's no mistaking the turtle van for anything else.
Mm-hmm. They could have made this any sort of toad, like a lily pad hovercraft.
Or orange to contrast the green.
Yeah.
Like, you could have gone a lot of ways. I thought it was very strange that it was pink because it was the hardest to merchandise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Also, you could kind of hit that, like, little... Things were incredibly gender-coded in the 90s.
Very true.
And I think pink car would have been difficult to sell to boys.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, this was a time period in which if there was a female member of the team, they did not always make toys of that member of the team.
She usually came with another guy.
Or, like, came with the bus.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I remember April O'Neil coming with the turtle van.
That makes sense.
I could be wrong on that. But I'm probably not wrong. So then, like, they need to then it's established that somebody needs to get a job.
Yes. And the only one that can do that is the princess?
Yes.
Because the toads have to go to school?
And the bird is a giant chicken man.
Yes. So she starts working at a donut store. And because she's a princess, she's not good at it because she's a princess.
Because she's a princess and also not from Earth.
And then it's time for another action sequence.
Yes.
And all the baddies spill out of a portal again.
Yep.
And they have a bull with them.
Yes.
And the bull...
Totally normal.
The bull says,
It's time to pop a zit and squeeze a pimple and scratch a rash.
how does the bull know their names? The bull wasn't there when they got their names.
Wait, I think because the names were honor names? Like, that's what the Battletoads are called.
Oh, so it's just through generations. Pimple the Fourth.
Yes, because that's what T-Bird christens them. So I think that is, like, the ceremonial names of the Battletoads.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is still stupid.
It's still stupid.
And then the Dark Queen comes back and gets her girlfriend and leaves.
Yeah, so now, it's the second time they've tried to kidnap Angelica, and they were perfect at it. So
Show over.
the show's over. They got to go after, which means they have to go into space, and they're going to take this pink car. And they're like, "How are we going to take this pink car? The tires are flat." And T-Bird says,
I've made some modifications. Besides, where we're going, we don't need tires.
clearly referencing the end of Back to the Future for some reason.
Because it was wildly popular? Pop culture references are so common in these cartoons.
Yeah, it was just odd to me that it was just a blatant reference rather than it being clever.
So then, Angelica is chained to something.
Yes.
And despite the fact that, like, she's chained hand and foot, which means if she wants this amulet, couldn't the Dark Queen just go over and take it off?
I feel like there was some sort of process that needed to happen because magic.
Yeah, the amulet has some kind of magic. And then we see the Battletoads approach the infamous tower from the video game.
Yes, so this is the tower from, like, close to the last level of Battletoads, which means the average child would have never seen this. And it's a cool level in, like, you're running up something spiral. So, like, it creates a false 3D, which is impressive for an NES game. But, yeah, the average Battletoads player doesn't get anywhere near this level. And they go to the top, and there's another, like, fun hijinks cartoon fight scene where they turn into stuff.
Yep.
They like drills and things.
But we don't see them actually get up the tower. So
no,
if you were
really.
hoping to get a hint on how to get up the tower from this cartoon, you weren't getting it.
And they save the princess.
Yep.
And really it should be over.
But then they go home and they land outside of their junior high school. And the principal demands they be committed.
Yeah, because they're insane because they said that they're the Battletoads.
Yeah.
And then they become the Battletoads and now they're monsters.
Well, and the Chicken Man is still with them.
Yeah. Everyone's really accepting of the Chicken Man.
Yeah, like, I'm glad that we live in a world where there is tolerance toward the Chicken Man.
Yes. I have this line that I want to bring up that they say.
Yeah.
Because when they go back to the school, they mention something about, like, a heavy metal concert.
Okay.
They say, like, this is going to be history's biggest heavy metal blast. And then surfer music plays. Very frustrating. So while the whole school and the principal have seen that the three biggest losers in this school have turned into toads, a UFO appears. And it's like, yeah, give us the Battletoads or we'll destroy your planet.
Yeah. Starting with your mall.
Starting with your mall, and everyone goes, not the mall.
Don't let her destroy our mall.
Oh no! It's headed towards the mall!
Don't let her destroy our mall!
So the Battletoads have to figure out a way to stop this spaceship.
Yes.
So I believe what they do is they get inside and convince all the enemies in there to shoot at them at once so that they blow up the UFO from the inside.
Yes. Like, they try to get them to shoot at them to get there.
Yeah, and, like, it explodes and there's, like, massive damage to the mall, the precious mall. But evil is vanquished, but not defeated, and shall return each and every week for a new installment of Battletoads.
Right down to the Nickelodeon-esque balloon font.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very weird to me that they end this show with everyone knows that
These
three kids are the Battletoads and that there are, like, aliens.
Yes.
And that this will continue to happen.
Yep.
Like, I feel like with Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtles were kind of a legend. Like, no one really knew that the Ninja Turtles existed because they would always, like, hide when the police showed up.
Yeah.
And, like, the Power Rangers were heroes. They were aware of the Power Rangers, who were these people that were
But they were
protecting.
anonymous, and it was kind of not meant to be found out that they were teenagers with attitude. Never mind that there were 5 kids who just happened to wear those colors all the time.
Always.
And if one of them announced they were afraid of something, that thing would then attack the town.
Yeah. It's
And you
incredible.
never saw those 5 kids.
You know, Rita Repulsa would have done a lot better as a villain if she sent monsters to not Southern California every week.
Yeah.
Like, maybe just once in a while you stop in, like, Italy, where there's no Power Rangers. Just a thought.
Attenzione repulsa!
And that's the end of the show here.
Yes.
In terms of how it lines up with the video game, the actual origin of the Battletoads are that they're game testers that were, like, sucked into the game.
Okay.
They have similar names, but they're slightly different. So they tried to appeal to kids by being like, kids are the Battletoads. You can pretend to be a Battletoad. Yay. this as a cartoon functions the way that Ninja Turtles does without any of the heart of the Ninja Turtles.
Yes. We don't have a reason to connect with any of the three boys.
No.
We don't have a reason for them to connect with Angelica. There's
She's
no... I just mean there's no emotional center.
No. Like, the threat that is being presented is for a force is trying to get Angelica. We don't know why she's important. We don't know why it's important that we defeat this evil to protect her. But had they never come to Earth, it wouldn't have been our problem ever.
Yeah. The heart of this is just missing.
Yeah.
And I also think the pacing is bad.
It's quite bad.
There's just too many very short action sequences when I think it would have been better off to have Angelica get apprehended early and have there be build. Have Morgan, who can totally be a leader, start figuring out a plan that uses all of their strengths.
Yeah.
And have them like, oh, our friendship is why we're the chosen ones. Because they are such good friends that they're willing to risk expulsion and being committed by their principal, which is a way overstep of that man's authority. I think that's a thing that like needed to be established.
Yeah, I think I would start with making Angelica the new kid in school.
Yes.
And like the three of them kind of embarrass themselves trying to impress her, but she is the only person that's nice to them because they're the losers. And then surprise, she's a princess. Her dad is not her dad, it's a professor chicken. And they require 3 people to become the Battletoads to protect them. And then they step up. Because it's a person who had shown them kindness when everyone else had not.
Yeah, if there was more of them having informed consent and making the choice. Because in the classic hero's journey, there's, the refusal, the call to adventure, the refusal of the call.
Yeah.
I mean, the monomyth is a monomyth for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a very good template to figuring out how to write that kind of story. And they kind of speedrun the entire hero's journey.
Yeah.
In 22 minutes.
Like, to me, it's important to point out that when they appear in the grocery store, the convenience store, and are like, well, you have been chosen to become the Battletoads. If they had said, no, we don't want to be the Battletoads, presumably they would have left Earth and looked elsewhere. And the Earth would have been saved.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
So, yeah, there's just some flaws in the logic of this. And, like, it's very clear that no care has been put into anything. Down to the point where this was a pilot, right?
Yes.
And just like any other, like, cartoon of this time, it started with, like, this is what the name of the episode is. And the writer and the director.
Oh, yeah, that...
Right?
Yeah, that used to be in beginning of every cartoon.
Yeah, it was always just like... It was like, when you turned on Captain Planet, it would be like, this episode is, like, the pollution of disrespectful speech, or something like that. In this one, did you catch what the name of this episode was called?
I did not.
It was called Battletoads.
Oh.
Because no thought was put into it other than we need to make a Battletoads cartoon.
I mean, I don't think it was uncommon for cartoons, the first episode, to just be...
Yeah, but it could also be the birth of the Battletoads. Or the arrival of the Battletoads. Instead of just being like, Battletoads.
Because I just, like, thinking through it of, was that a common construct for the first episode to be? You know what I mean?
Maybe, but like it just, to me, that is really indicative of what this cartoon is. It lacks identity other than it's Battletoads, which is just a ripoff of the Ninja Turtles with very little thought.
Yes. It wants to be the Ninja Turtles so bad.
Yeah. And, like, as a game, it was a decent game, but it was, like, ridiculously hard. And, like, the only reason people still talk about Battletoads is because of its difficulty.
Yeah, it was Nintendo hard.
It was beyond Nintendo hard. It was, like, cruel and unfair. Like, I played it's interesting that we just put up the Dreamers podcast that I was on, and we talk about how we were going to play video games for 24 hours. We did end up playing Battletoads.
Yes.
For 24 hours, and we got to level 4, which means we beat the turbo tunnel, which is, it cracked me up that not even the pilot of the show could get through the turbo tunnel, which is something I was hoping would happen. But once you're past the turbo tunnel, like, the game starts to lie to you.
Okay.
Like, there is a level where you're running from a gear, and the gear is on these tracks, so you know where it's coming. And then after you do that a few times, it leaves the track and goes in an unpredictable way, just to screw you over. Like, it's an unfair game. It's a troll game, to be honest. It's the first, like, troll game.
Okay.
So, like, beating it is an impossible task. Separate to, like, the way Contra was impossible. Like, you can get good enough at a game like Contra to beat it. There's memorization and, like, unfair things you have to learn to beat Battletoads.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's a little video game history for you.
I was not... I think we have established on the show before, I was not allowed to have a home console as a child.
And if you had Battletoads, you probably wouldn't have beaten the first level.
The only games I ever got very good at on the NES were Super Mario Brothers, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The third one...
Yeah.
Because my cousins didn't like the second one. So we didn't play it that often.
It's also not 2 players, so I understand.
And then Kirby. Not the very first Kirby's Dream Land, but the first one where he's able to absorb powers, which is not the first Kirby game, by the way.
Yeah, it turns out you can't do that in the first Kirby game.
And that was at my babysitter's house. Because I used to go to one of my friend's parents' house, who would, her mom was a stay-at-home mom, so, like, she would look after me when my parents were at work. And I had to be there before they were usually awake, because this was on, like, a school holiday.
Okay.
So from, 7:30 to 9, they just tucked me into the side room with the NES, which for me was a rare and delightful treat. So I got good at Kirby because I could play for, like, an hour and a half a day during Christmas break. Mm. Because that's just, like, a memory I was excited about, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Video game memories from an episode that's running kind of short.
Yeah, anything to add to Battletoads before we give this guy a verdict?
This was never really lost. This was one of those things that was aired once, but did get a VHS release, and then has been on YouTube for ages, legally. Mm-hmm. So, because we watched a copy put up by the rights holder.
Yeah.
So this has never really been lost media, which kind of tells you that, like, that concept we've discussed of whether lost media becomes more interesting. I wonder if the show would have more mythos if it wasn't just readily available and not very good.
I mean, it's interesting in that, like, I think the average person doesn't know that there was a Battletoads cartoon.
That's fair.
And yet, like, it's readily available. It's just not very good.
It's really not.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. I think also that when you plugged in and started playing Battletoads, my first thought, because there was so much lore that is presented, like, here's the bad guy. Oh no, the princess has been kidnapped. Oh no, they took Pimple with them. Oh no. There is this feeling of, like, oh, there's gotta be a cartoon that I just haven't seen. Because it's expecting me to already like these people and these characters and understand what's going on for it to just be dropping me in this world. And it just isn't. So I feel like most people, if you asked them about Battletoads and they knew about the game, they would either not know that there was a cartoon or just assumed there was one that they had never seen.
Yeah, and just assumed it was just one of those standard 90s lame cartoons. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of research on this. people were kind of hoping that this was going to really kick off, but it didn't.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised by that. It is a stay doomed from me. It lacks any sorts of heart, and it is very much just a commercial for a video game and to hopefully sell toys.
Yeah, it's a stay doomed. It's a lot of these older cartoons don't hold up super well. Mm-hmm. This one feels particularly shrewd.
Yeah.
And calculating in a way that there's just no feelings behind it. And the feelings are important.
Yeah, you can tell that when they made it, there was a list of boxes that must be checked.
Yes.
Like, make them look cool, make them animals that are also people, put a hot girl in it, have them have catchphrases, give them a spaceship.
Yes.
Yeah, all those things. So that's going to do it for Battletoads. Be sure to join us next week, where we will be watching Into the Lion's Den, which sounds like a game show, but it's not. It's a scripted TV show about making a puppet show.
Yeah.
So it's very much like Puppet Man.
Puppet Man 2, Electric Boogaloo.
So you can watch that right now on the YouTube. And if you'd like, please join our Patreon. That's patreon.com/plus2comedy. That should be revamped very, very soon. There'll just be a little bit different way, and we're giving away all the wonderful benefits that we give out. But you can join our Discord and talk to us and make suggestions on what we're watching and all that good stuff. Where can people find us, Laura?
You can email us at thestaydoomedshow@gmail.com or on Facebook and Twitter at Stay Doomed.
And if you want to talk to me about your favorite Cosmorific video game, I'm +2comedy on Twitter.
If you just want to, think about the 90s cartoons and the Deke animation phenomenon, I am at Prilarities on whatever you want to call it. I'm not calling it that.
I'm calling it Twitter.
All right. Until next time, stay doomed.